Good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Jaret Lansford here, and we're going to talk about our incoming winter weather. We've got first alert 6 weather days for Friday, which has been in place. We now also have a first alert 6 weather day for Saturday, as we see this Arctic cold linger around our area and increasing odds for some snow to make its way through. We'll talk how that could impact your weekend plans and what you need to know as far as when we see the snow, how much falls, and how cold the whole weekend looks overall. Lots to talk about, so let's go ahead and get into it. Today is actually a pretty seasonable day and easily the warmest we're going to be for quite some time. And even though it's not that warm of a day, we'll actually pick up the wind later this afternoon, get some gusts. Not as strong as yesterday, but still up around 25 miles per hour for us. That will add a bit more of a chill to the air. So we'll have our first alert 6 weather day for Friday with wind chills that are 10 to 30 below through the course of the day. On the lower end of that in the morning, of course, and then in the afternoon, we're still in the double digits below zero. And then we've got that increasing chance for snow for Friday night into Saturday morning. Let's walk through it all. Cloud cover in place right now. And not real warm. We're sitting at 20 degrees. We'll gain about 10 more degrees through the rest of the day. Right now, those winds are calm, so it feels the exact same as the temperature. That's a big change from yesterday evening. We had those strong wind gusts that were working their way through. Much different story right now, where we have winds pretty calm out there. It's just not real warm. We zoom out, and that Arctic cold is starting to make its way into the U.S. You look off to the north, check out those numbers for Fargo, International Falls. That's the air temperature. That is not the wind chill. It is 14 below in Fargo, 19 below in International Falls. Bismarck already down to 7 below. So that's where the cold is, and that's going to continue to kind of push its way south and take over a very large portion of the country, including here, over the course of the next couple of days. So those 20s you see in Nebraska and into Iowa, that's not going to be something that lasts too much longer. In fact, there are cold alerts. That's a cold advisory. We've kind of seen the terminology change for this a little bit over the last couple of years, where you don't really see the wind chill warnings or advisories. It's all kind of under one umbrella. And this is a cold advisory that you have in that kind of periwinkle light blue color there for the metro to the west and to the south. That's where we see the wind chills of 15 to 30 below as we start off our Friday, where you have that grayer color on the outskirts of our area off to the north and to the east. That's where we could get wind chills that get down around 30 to 40 below as we start off our Friday, and that's where there is a extreme cold warning in place. So no matter how you slice it, it's going to be bitterly cold, dangerous cold, where you're talking about frostbite if you extend your time outdoors at all and aren't covered up. But it's just a little bit worse to the north and to the east. So for the rest of the day today, we get our temperatures up right around 30 degrees. That peak actually happens as we get into the early afternoon. And the way things are unfolding, we may need to subtract a few degrees off of that. We're not really warming real great, so probably about 27, 28 is where we actually end up for our metro high. Notice how things start to slide downward as we get late in the afternoon and into the evening, and that cold really surges in, and by the time we get to tomorrow morning, we're talking temperatures that are below zero, likely bottoming out about 7 below for the air temperature. Then we have the wind that's in place. Through that time frame, we're getting gusts that are not nearly as strong as yesterday, but still about 20, 25 miles per hour out of the north. And that's what starts to pull that cold, cold air into the area, and that adds on to the wind chill. So it's the reason we have the first alert 6 weather days, starting off at 7 below for our Friday morning, only getting back to about 2 above for our temperature on Friday, still single digits on Saturday. We dip below zero for our lows for Saturday morning and Sunday morning. So this is the kind of air mass that just does not go away very easily. And it's a weekend for indoor activities. The worst of it is Friday. We get to Friday night, we actually pull some snow into the area. And we'll look at who gets the most out of that and how that all unfolds here in just a bit. But the Arctic air is just really going to be hard to shake. Everything is coming together in a fashion that just reinforces that cold more and more with the layer of snow on the ground, the really cold air that's in place. It's all a matter of making it a bitterly cold weekend and not just a day. So there's the coldest of the days, Friday, where we start off about 7 below, make it all the way back to 2 above. Yeah, it's going to be really rough by the time we go through the entirety of tomorrow. Not a whole lot of improvement that happens. Wind chill wise, there's what it looks like. So starting off in that 25, 30 below range, and that's where you're talking about frostbite. That could happen in a matter of 10 to 30 minutes if you're not covered up and you're spending time outdoors. So this is where you have to start considering what you can do to stay indoors more than not over the course of tomorrow morning. I do expect we'll likely start hearing some school announcements on how they're going to handle this situation. Can't say whether they will or won't, but I would not be surprised if we do start getting some of those announcements through the course of our day today for tomorrow. By the afternoon, we're peaking at wind chills that are in that 10 to 20 below range, and that comes as the wind starts to let up some. The temperature just doesn't really improve all that much. All right, now let's shift focus to the snow aspect of things, and we have fast forwarded here to Friday evening. And as we get toward about 9 to 11 p.m., this is the time frame we start to pull this into our area. And you can see through the nighttime hours, we'll be looking at a light snow falling, a very dry and powdery snow that will be coming down. A lot of times on these systems, the north end of these gets eaten away by dry air. We've kind of got a battle that'll take place. This cold air that's coming in from the north is going to be very dry. Meanwhile, we're pulling moisture in from the south, and it's where does that line end up on where we see that transition from the cold, dry air winning out to the more the air that is moist enough that it gets that dry powder down to ground level and accumulates. And I think right now it's looking like that ends up right around the I-80 corridor or so. And then off to the south, you see those amounts pick up pretty quickly. So we head our way through the night. You can see that those deeper blues continue to stay near and south of I-80. If you're further north, you likely don't see a ton of snow out of this. Even further south, it'll be a couple inches that we're talking about. Those amounts do pick up a lot more, though, as you get closer to the Missouri and Kansas borders. We go through Saturday morning, still looking at snow falling in those areas. It's ending in the metro about mid-morning. And then as we get into the afternoon, we see that snow even go away for those areas such as Rockport, Auburn, Fall City. So how much snow are we talking? Here we go. Up to 2 inches in the metro, likely not getting 2 inches. That's our ceiling is 2 inches. Probably a little bit more like an inch. Some spots that get a little bit more than that is what we end up with in the metro out of this, and it's a dry powder. Thankfully, we're not talking about much wind, so this won't get kicked around, but still could have some slick spots as a result of that by Saturday morning. And keep in mind, we're talking temperatures that are below zero, so you want to try to limit any kind of impacts you get with that kind of scenario. Notice that the amounts do go up as you get south of Nebraska City, where we're looking at 2 to 5 inches that are possible in those areas. And those amounts continue to go up as you head further south toward Kansas City. Let me show you that. These are the odds that we see 2 inches or more over the next 72 hours, and this is mainly Friday night into Saturday morning for our area. And you do see how those shadings change as you get further to the south. The further north you are, the less those odds that you see much in the way of snow. As you get south of Omaha, and particularly as you get down to the south of Nebraska City, that's where those odds really go up for getting more than 2 inches of that dry powder. But we zoom out further, the impacts continue to go up. This is going to be a storm system that has widespread impacts across a large portion of the country. And talking about some snow accumulations in places that don't tend to deal with a lot of these kind of accumulations, like Oklahoma City, Tulsa, where they're talking maybe 8 to 10 inches of snow, down across Joplin, and then over toward the Ohio River Valley. They're also looking at getting some pretty healthy snow totals into the Louisville area, Cincinnati, and St. Louis. Further south from that, there's the chance that you get a mixed bag of precip that could end up with some sleet accumulations, perhaps freezing rain, and that's for places like Dallas, Little Rock, into northern Mississippi and Alabama, where there's potential that those areas end up with some accumulations that they don't tend to deal with either. So you're probably going to hear a lot about this through the course of the next several days of what do some of these places in the central and southern plains get that don't get this kind of weather, and then even into some of the south as well. So what does that do overall as we go back to our area for the weekend temperatures? You add in a layer of fresh snow to the ground, you're going to be talking about even more struggle to warm. And so we've lowered the temperatures even further for Saturday and Sunday. A high temp of 6 above on Saturday. 12 is all we manage on Sunday. And it's just going to be a bitterly cold weekend all around. Nighttime temps do dip below 0. Wind chills for much of the weekend will likely also stay below 0 for the most part. Sunday we may get a little bit above 0, but not much improvement at all. And the long-term trends are also pointing colder. Let me show you that. So these deep purples, pinks that you're seeing, that's the air mass we're talking about that has this very cold air with it. Stays with us through the whole weekend. We keep it around on Sunday. Monday, we do start to try to kick in a southwest wind that will make it breezy. It'll warm us up a little more, talking 20s for temperatures, but the wind chill probably stays around 10 at best with that breeze in place. But there you can see it does get a little bit warmer for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're talking 20s. And as we go through next week, you can see that kind of holds serve, if you will, into the middle of the week. Signs are pointing to try to, in this model especially, notice that we have this big area of this pink and purple just hanging out over the Great Lakes into the northeast. That tries to wobble back in by next weekend. So first alert to potential that we end up in this same exact boat for next weekend. Another weekend where we're talking about single-digit highs, maybe getting below 0 into the weekend. So as we're closing out the month of January, it's looking pretty likely that we're below average with our temperatures that whole stretch. And let me show you the 10-day forecast so you can see what that looks like. So today, 30 degrees. That may be on the high side of what we get to. The way things have been looking with how things are unfolding, we may hit a ceiling of about 27, 28 in the metro. But that's warmer than anything else we have over the next 4 days. There you can see the first alert 6 weather days for Friday, Saturday. Snow comes in for Friday night into Saturday morning and reinforces that cold. We finally get a little improvement by the time we get to Monday and Tuesday with the temps with 20s. And notice that it just continues to look more and more likely that we have 20s for highs throughout next week. And those numbers you see at the end of the 10-day, do not at all be surprised if those start to dip as we get more agreement on that deep freeze trying to make its way into our area. That is certainly a possibility for us. All right, so that's all the details of how things unfold. I hope you enjoyed some of those warmer temperatures that we had earlier in the month, because that's into the rearview mirror, and we're really getting our full taste of winter here. Remember, we haven't even gotten below 0 yet in the metro. That happens tonight, and we are going to be really struggling to warm things up beyond tonight. So enjoy the rest of today. Coming up at the top of the hour, we will have a update from Senior Chief Meteorologist Rusty Lord on First Alert 6, so tune in for that, and we'll continue to keep you posted with all the latest details of the snow and the cold on First Alert 6 with these live streams as well. So I hope you have a great rest of your day and stay warm this weekend.